Thank you, Senator Kane, for being here. And thank you, Barbara Comstock. I just saw her a minute ago. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. My speech is in a souvenir, and I was told to cut it in half. So that's what I'm going to do, cut it in half. So thank you, Dr. Bonik, for that kind introduction. Thank you for all you do to serve our community. You lighten our load and lift our spirit and soul, and you are indeed the artery of our heart. Let me begin by saying it is truly an honor to be here with all of you NCAIA members and guests to celebrate India's Independence Day. I'm sure you feel as I do that this is the next best place to be outside of India on this very special day for each and every one of us. I also want to thank Raj Shah, who's a dear friend of mine, to be here, and thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Shah, his parents, to be here. You are the guiding light, not only for Raj, but all of us as well. And thank you, Debbie, my wife, for joining us this evening. Let me extend my warmest Independence Day greeting to all of you. I'm here tonight to speak on quite a different topic. That topic is democracy around the world and in India. I've titled my talk, Make India a Global Beacon of Hope for Democracy. In my humble opinion, India has the opportunity, the responsibility, and the capacity to become that global beacon. In my remarks, I will highlight why it is important for India to assume a leadership role in this regard. Look at where India stands today in terms of its own democracy. Identify the three critical improvement areas in which India must take action to become an exemplar for democracy. And finally, discuss what we as Indian Americans can do to help make India that global beacon. It is important for India to become a global beacon because in this 21st century, democracy is in decline. As a matter of fact, democracy is descending and autocracy is ascending around the world. Freedom House, the organization that looks at the quality of freedom in countries around the world, titled the 2018 Annual Report, Democracy in Crisis. The opening sentence of the report reads as follows: political rights and civil liberties around the world deteriorated in their lowest point in more than a decade. In 2017, extending period of characterized by emboldened autocrats and the United States withdrawal from its leadership role in the global struggle for human freedom. For much of the 20th century, the United States of America was the absolute leader in promoting and propagating democracy and democratic values around the globe. With the Trump presidency, that leadership has eroded and virtually disappeared. Trump's obsessive emphasis on America first, the withdrawal from engagement with the traditional and historical allies, and international agreements, the confounding relationship with Russia, combined with the instigation of trade war, will lead to the inevitable conclusion of America not being the first, but America being alone and last. A nation cannot lead from that position. There's a significant vacuum that must be filled if democracy and the search for it is to be defining characteristic and conscious of this century. India is by far the largest democracy in the world. In the upcoming national election to be held sometimes in 2019, over 900 million Indian citizens will be eligible to vote. This compares to mere 245 million plus eligible voter in the next largest democracy in the world, the United States of America. The question becomes, can India step forward and begin to fill that vacuum by leading by example and speaking out on issues central to democratic values and practices? There are some indicators that suggest that India may not be up to this task. For example, a Pew Research Center survey of the citizens in 38 nations conducted in 2017 found the support for a strong leader who is unchecked by the judiciary and parliament is highest in India. 94% of those surveys saw rule by a strong leader as a good way to govern. That same survey disclosed that only 8% of the respondents were fully committed to representative democracy. 67% were less committed, 9% preferred a non-democratic option, and the remainder were uncertain. That's the bad news for India's potential future role as a champion of democracy. The good news is there are some strong counter-indicators. Two that stands out are the manner in which the Indian democracy was founded and the nature of and participation in the 2014 national election. While the nature of and participation in the 2014 national election was not miraculous, it can definitely be labeled as a big deal, a very, very big deal. Consider the following. The registration for this election was more than 100 million voters, higher than the 2019 election, an increase of almost 15%. The election were held over 9 days. The voter turnout were over 67%, with the highest in the history of India's national election. Given these and other factors, such as reselecting economic development, I firmly believe India is poised to move on center stage as an exemplar of and worldwide advocate for democracy. I say this recognizing that India is a nation and democracy is far from perfect. It has numerous problems and challenges that need to be addressed if it is to don the mantle of a democratic leader. In my humble opinion, there are three key improvement areas in which India needs to take action in order to assume the leadership role. First, pursue an intensified agenda of inclusiveness and economic equality and opportunity for all. The Pew Research Center found that the countries with a more democratic system and greater wealth showed more widespread commitment to representative democracy. India has begun to show some progress in this area, but much remains to be done, especially for females, for those in the minorities, and the weaker section. Survival of India's future rests on the foundations of diversity, tolerance, and respect for other faiths. Second, ensure effective civic education for students, especially in the younger years. In the US, in March of this year, the National Council of Social Studies issued a positioning statement recommending that effective civic education should target the knowledge, the skill, and disposition necessary to ensure that young people are truly capable of becoming active and engaged participants in civic life. One of the educational initiatives in India that has this targeted focus is the Children's Movement for Civic Awareness. This program are designed to empower children and youth with knowledge, skills, and abilities for active citizenship. The youth of today are the citizens of tomorrow. India needs to provide appropriate civic education in classrooms across the country to prepare all its youth to fully discharge their responsibility. Third, free the free press. The free press is the cornerstone of democracy. It's the pillar of democracy. To become a world-leading democracy, India must free its free press and take all of the steps and actions necessary to enable the press to speak truth to the power and to contribute to the telling of the stories that will improve the government and the democracy. So addressing these three areas, an inclusiveness agenda, effective civic education, and a free press will require substantial work and resources. Fortunately, the leadership and people of India will not have to take on the daunting challenge an opportunity of becoming a global beacon for themselves. They have strong allies. Those allies are you and me and all of us in this room, the NCAIA, and the dozens of other Indian American associations and the members of the Indian diaspora here in the United States who can make philanthropic contribution to each of these areas. India is fortunate because we members of the Indian diaspora community love our mother country. A 2014 paper from the Migration Policy Institute states the Indian diaspora community is noted for being very well organized and having a deep and multifaceted engagement with the homeland. Many consider giving back an obligation and a welcome responsibility. In conclusion, let me leave you with this thought. There is an old saying that goes, "It is always darkest before the dawn." For the past several years, democracy in countries around the world has been slipping into darkness. In recent months, things have continued to get darker for democracy. We are moving towards the darkest hour. India has the potential to confront that hour by becoming a global hope for democracy. If it realizes its potential, it will bring about a new dawn for democracy in this 21st century. Those of you in this room, in this evening, have the capacity to help India achieve its fullest potential. That is why I ask you to join me in this journey on this Independence Day in committing to that cause. By seizing this moment, you will only be celebrating India's past. You will be contributing to creating India's future, to it being the global beacon of hope for democracy. I say to all of you, let that light shine. So thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts. God bless you all. God bless India, and God bless the United States of America.